Hello, Booktube, and welcome back. Well, we're finally here. I've finally finished a long list of the Baillie Gifford 2025. The Baillie Gifford, do I need to do this preamble again, is a non-fiction book prize for non-fiction books that published in the UK between October and October. So there was a good crop of books this year. It's going to be quite hard for me to do a shortlist, I think. The Baillie Gifford shortlisted list is out. Talk about it in a minute. I'm going to rank all 12 long list books into these three different categories, as you can see. I'm not going to do, S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, whatever. Well, that's a bit meaningless, isn't it? So it's basically three categories. Whether I think the book is excellent, I really loved it. Whether the book is, as it says on the tin, good, or whether I'm lukewarm on the book, but I appreciate what I was trying to do. I haven't got a bad category because I don't think any of these are bad books, even the ones that are not really for me. They've got someone would like them, So let's go. Let's begin with Muriel Spark. Oh, where's that gone? So Muriel Spark, it's my first lukewarm book. If you haven't watched my kind of like, I've labelled them as book reviews on the channel, but they're more like my opinions. I was very much not for me. I thought I was going to get a normal kind of biography of Muriel Spark because she sounds like she's a very, very interesting character, but it's written in such a way where the bits we didn't know about her life has been filled in by her fiction work. So they kind of extrapolated from her fiction and kind of like plugged the holes in her life with that. If that makes sense, that's what they were trying to do. So it wasn't your usual biography. That's why I'm going to put it in a kind of lukewarm section for me. It wasn't really for me. Okie dokie, where are we going to go next? We are going to go Things in Nature Merely Grow. Oh, it's just a tough one. I'll put it there. Can I do that? Oh, no. So I'll go there anyway. I was going to put it above Muriel Spark, but it's still kind of lukewarm to me. Except the book is really well written. It's about the author's child who's committed suicide, and she's written a book, to ode for James, basically what it is, how he would like to have himself eulogized. It's very stoic and analytical. It's only small as well. It's only about 120 pages or whatever, but it's a very analytical look at suicide and death. But there's some poignant things in there. It's not a bad book, but it wasn't for me. But it sounds like it's up your street. Go right at it, because I've never read a book like this before. I thought it was fairly okay, but for such a touchy subject, kind of missed the mark for me. Okie dokie. So the next one is gonna be The Boundless Deep. Oh, excellent. I really like this. This is about the Alfred Tennyson. He was a poet laureate in the Victorian age of Britain. And it's not looking at him, it's not a biography as a kid or an old man. It's his biography of just him finding his way and how he became a poet and everything that was happening around him at the time. His relationship with his family and how he dealt with his friends who sometimes became jealous or very critical on the path that he was taking. He struggled with his faith through all the scientific progress that was being made in the Victorian, the evolution, the dinosaurs, tectonic plates, and that's what his poetry was strongly based on. The emergence of science and how he struggled with his faith. The author does a very, very, very good. Richard Holmes does a very good job at this. How he weaves the poems him with a narrative about his biography. Oh, it's great. It's fantastic. You should pick it up. It's good. And that's why it's going on the A tier. Well, the excellent tier. Okie dokie. Let's go next with Paul and John. Did I get that then? Yeah. Oh, again. Hang on. That's not like narrative. Hang on. Let me do it again. Okay. Oh dear. Probably. Oh, it's so close. This is a. It is Paul and John from the Beatles. Ringo and George Harrison take very much a backseat with this. This is purely the relationship between John and Paul and how they wrote their songs. Each chapter is basically a song and how they came together. It also talks about how Lennon became very jealous of McCartney, and then the eventual split of the Beatles and how they threw shade at each other in the 1970s. It goes all the way up to when Lennon was shot. It's very, very, very good. It's the great narrative, quite funny in some parts of these two, very, very well known egos. Writing songs. It's very, very, very readable, very digestible, and it's a really good book. Okie dokie, let's go with Lone Wolf. Excellent. Lone Wolf by Adam Weymouth. This is looking at the wolf, the Schlarz. I need to think before I say the name. So it's looking at wolf history across Europe, about wolf reintroduction and how they did it themselves about human intervention, and the path we're following. The path that the author is following is the one with the wolf Schlarz took from Eastern Europe into Italy, where he found a female wolf, and then he started a new pack. And he talks to all sorts of people on the way, all locals and people who work with endangered animals and stuff like that. And I thought this is fantastic. This could be up there with my favourite of the Baillie Gifford this year. He can write, and it's a sort of travelogue as well as he journeys through, all the countries that the wolf took. He also talks about how the wolf was persecuted throughout European history. I mean, the British killed all their wolves by the 17th century. So it's all that kind of stuff, but it's a really, really excellent read. Nature, travelogue, fantastic. That's why it's up there. Great, great, great stuff. Okay, let's go with The Finest Hotel in Kabul. That's on the cusp between lukewarm and good. I might be being too harsh there, but I might be putting it in good. It's on that level. It's looking at the hotel, the Continental Hotel in Kabul in Afghanistan, and the history when it was built in the late 60s, when everything was fine and dandy-o, all the way up to today. And it's looking at the people who worked in the hotel and how the hotel and the people who worked in the hotel all changed throughout the Soviet occupation, the rise of the Taliban, the American invasion of Afghanistan. So it's very good, and it's told in a very personable narrative, as you expect if it's just about the people who work in the hotel. I wanted the author to stay in. Don't leave that subject. I really like what you were talking about there. So it's very, very it's the next. No, stay, no. So that's why I kind of lukewarm on it. It's still an excellent read. Don't get me wrong. And if you're interested in your Middle East history, pick it up. It is a really good book. I just wish there was more meat on the bone for this book. Okay, halfway there. Okie dokie. Let's go with Captors and Companions. got, it is another excellent book. This is about the Islamic slave trade. So a lot is known about the European colonial slave trade and the Atlantic slave trade to Americas, but this is just looking at the Islamic slave. So you're looking at the Middle East and North Africa, and how it changed through, I think it's the 6th century all the way to modern day slavery, and how sometimes you might think of slavery as in the American sense of people getting persecuted and all that, which a lot of these people did in the Islamic slave trade. But some of these slaves rose up to really, really high, powerful positions, even powerful enough to combat the sultans and whatnot. And talk about slave revolutions, overtaking governments only for them to rule and want slaves themselves. The capturing, fighting the European nations and taking slaves from Britain, Spain, Italy, concubines. This book is fantastic. It's a really, really good book. And there's also the really bad, what do you expect from the slave trade? They're really, really bad as well. There's a couple of personal narratives in this where you're like, oh, that's horrible. And it's an excellent, excellent book, and that's why I put it up there. Okie dokie, let's go with Between the Waves. This is a good book. So this is looking at the history of the UK has had with the European Union. So it's looking at post World War II all the way up to the EU referendum in 2016. This is purely from a UK standpoint. A couple of the main characters from the European continent is mentioned, like Charles de Gaulle, Angela Merkel, all those big players. But it's very much of a story how the UK government always tried to have it both ways. They wanted all the positives from the European community, but they did, we don't want any of those European rules or, any kind of mass immigration, as the bloody saying goes now. But this is a really, really excellent book, and it is a well-written narrative, and it goes through all the different UK parliaments from that, how the UK Prime Minister, what their relationship was like with the European equivalents. It was a really, really good bit of history. It doesn't take a political stance on whether it was a good thing to leave the European Union or a bad thing to leave the European Union. It's just giving you a history of it, and I thought it was really good. Okay, we're down to the final four. I'm going to pick The Last Days of Budapest, and that's another good book. This is looking at the history of Budapest during the Second World War, and it's very much it's looking at just Budapest in a microcosm. It's not even really mentioning the rest of Hungary. It's looking at how it became more and more dangerous for the people of the Jewish faith to exist in Budapest. It's talking about how people fled, how people helped them get out of the Hungary. It's talking about spies, both for the Allies and for the Nazis, and how just the oppressions got worse and worse and worse as the Nazi occupation went on. This is a really good book. This is a strong read. I think it's not a cheery subject, as you'd imagine, but I think it's a strong book. I think people should read it. Okie dokie, let's go with Daughters of the Bamboo Grove, which is a good book. This is looking at two twins that were separated through the one-child policy in China at the time. One of the twins was stolen from her family, and she was put up for international adoption, which basically she went to America. And it's basically finding out that she was taken from her family at the time, who loved her dearly, and then so getting back together with the family, then being very critical of I can't remember what the Chinese department was called, but the one that would deal with family, and how they stamped down and how they were very corrupt. And it's an excellent, excellent book of two twins getting back together again, having different two social backgrounds. Excellent, excellent book. I think everybody should read it. Okie dokie, let's go with Helen Garner's Diaries. It's another good book. This is, well, it's looking at the Australian author Helen Garner and her diary entries. It's a combination of 3 different books. So the first part is between 79 and the mid-80s, and it's discussing, it's her diary entries from 79 to 85 and how she became a debut author. Second part is the mid-80s to the mid-90s of how she fell in love, and then the last part is like 95 to 98, I think, and it's how she found out her husband was cheating on her. This is a great little... I've never read a book principally on diary entries, and I think the format of the book kind of pulled me out of it a bit sometimes, where it could be a large chunk and then it's one sentence that doesn't have any bearing, and then just another sentence that doesn't have any bearing, and a big chunk. So it's literally reading someone's diary, right? But some of the things in there, it is dead witty. You feel really sorry for her as well as the third book progresses. It's excellent book, this, so it's a thumbs up. And the last one is the most recent one I read, The Revolutionists, and that's going to go into the excellent category. This is looking at the extremists from the late 60s to the early 80s, mainly focusing on Carlos the Jackal. And it's looking how hijacking planes was big then, how they used that to get their friends out of prison. And there's so much information that's gone into this. This is an incredible piece of work. They've got the interviews with agents, with some of the hijackers, with survivors, the history behind it. And it's such a entry level book, even though it's a chunker. It pulls you in, and you can't believe you've read 600 or 700 pages, whatever it is, in that time, because it will pull you in. You're like, oh my god, that was amazing. So it's a book about the actual hijackers themselves throughout the 14-15 year period, whatever it is. Brilliant book. Okay, so that's kind of my ranking, what I think right now, of the book. Some of them I think have been a bit too harsh. With The Finest Hotel in Kabul, it's still a good book. So, since the Baillie Gifford shortlisted 6, I need to shortlist 6. So, obviously, the top 4 from the excellent category, without a doubt, is going to get shortlisted for me. So that's The Boundless Deep, that's Lone Wolf, that's Captors and Companions, and The Revolutionists. So I need to pick 2 more, and it's obviously going to be from the good category. Oh, this is tough. Oh dear. I'm going to use that for the shortlist. I'm going to say Daughters of the Bamboo Grove. It's a really good, sad book. I thought it was very, very, very interesting. It's tough. Right, let's have a little play around. Right, that's not going to be it. That's not going to be it. Oh, that's tough. That's really tough, that, between John and Paul and Helen Garner's Diaries. Do you know what? I'm going to do it. Let's give Helen Garner a prop here. Oh, whatever. So that would be the 6 I would shortlist. Oh, the back of my head is saying you enjoyed John and Paul more than you enjoyed the diary entries. Helen Garner's book was fantastic, right? I'm not criticising. It's just the format of the book, the diaries, kind of pulled me out of it sometimes, and the way she replaced the people, her life's names, with like letters. So sometimes you'd be like, oh, who's that again? whereas I really enjoyed John and Paul. Am I going to swap it around again? No, that's it. No, it's locked in. It's locked in. So my shortlist would be The Boundless Deep, Lone Wolf, Captives and Companions, The Revolutionists, Daughters of the Bamboo Grove, and John and Paul. Let's see what the Baillie Gifford have said. I know what they've said, but here we go. This is theirs. So, as you can see, we've got a crossover between Lone Wolf, Captives and Companions, The Revolutionists, and The Boundless Deep. They've shortlisted How to End the Story by Helen Garner, which, props to them, I think it's a really good book. It's a really great narrative. But Electric Spark. I bet you that'll win as well. So that's what the Baillie Gifford judges have shortlisted from them 12. So it's pretty much near enough what I shortlisted. Who do I think they will vote? I reckon they're going to give it to How to End a Story by Helen Garner. That's who I'm thinking. That Electric Spark kind of threw me a bit though. That's the wild card, you know. But I think How to End a Story is going to be this year's Baillie Gifford. So that's it, folks, and I hope you enjoyed that. I don't know what videos I'm going to do now, because I seem to be done this now for the past 3-4 weeks. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye, Booktube.